everyone, and welcome back. Today we re-diving back into the hilarious and romantic roller coaster that is Yandan and Tang Zhou's story. Let's get right into it. Tang Zhou carefully examined the remains and found a horrifying truth. Besides the few people who went into the tomb with them, all the other skeletons belonged to strong, healthy men who had died very recently. Think about it. If a large group of young men suddenly vanished from Qingxi town, wouldn't that cause a huge stir? Tang Zhou was certain this was all connected to the Empress Tomb. Yandan nodded in agreement. She analyzed that the so-called Empress Tomb was a complete scam. There was no treasure inside, just a death trap designed to lure treasure hunters in, batch after batch, and send them to their doom. She also pointed out something strange. Ever since they arrived at the Shen residence, finding clues had been way too easy. It was as if everything was being handed to them on a silver platter, and all the information came from a single source. Mr. Shen. This was too convenient to be a coincidence. Tang Zhou decided they needed to see Shen Xiangjun for themselves. From a distance, they saw her, sitting quietly, diligently molding little clay figures. She looked completely harmless. Yandan, however, was convinced it was all an act. She suddenly had an idea. Pretending to be a jealous wife, she started chasing Tang Zhou around the courtyard, accusing him of having a wandering eye. Tang Zhou, caught off guard, had no choice but to play along, dodging her playful swats. During this chaotic chase, Yandan deliberately aimed her broom towards Shen Xiangjun. Just as it was about to hit her, Shen Xiangjun dodged with surprising agility. That split-second movement was all Yandan needed. Her suspicion was confirmed. This woman was definitely faking her madness. Later that day, Shen Xiangjun seemed to have guessed their intentions. She told them she was worried about Madam, who returning and causing trouble. She quietly asked them to come to her room that night, promising to reveal the whole truth. As promised, Tang Zhou and Yandan met her in her room. The moment they entered, Shen Xiangjun burst into tears. She told them a tragic story. When she was just a little girl, she witnessed her own father brutally murder her mother. To survive, she had no choice but to feign insanity, hoping her father would spare her. She explained that her father was the one who spread the rumors about the Empress Tomb. It was all a scheme to use the tomb as a trap to kill people. He even had Madam who keep a close watch on her, to warn the treasure hunters without revealing herself. Shen Xiangjun had to pretend to be a spirit medium and sneak into the tomb. As she spoke, Yandan's mind latched onto a term Mr. Shen had mentioned earlier. Bone-gathering burial. It sounded incredibly familiar. Suddenly, it clicked. She had read about it in a book called The Chronicles of Strange Tribes. It was a secret, forbidden technique of the Duoxi tribe, a technique guarded by their sanction. To avoid any trouble, he cleverly introduces her as his adopted sister. Just as they arrive, the senior disciple also returns. Now, everyone in the sect knows Tang Zhou is usually quite aloof, especially around women. So, seeing him with an adopted sister naturally piques everyone's curiosity. Sensing the questions in the air, Yandan, ever the performer, launches into a dramatic tale. She paints herself as a damsel in distress, a young lady from a wealthy family who was accosted by bandits, and who swooped in to save the day. None other than the heroic Tang Zhou. The disciples, completely taken in by her story hook, line, and sinker. Later, while helping in the kitchen, Yandan gets to chatting with another disciple, Qinqi.
This is where we learn the tragic backstory of our stoic demon slayer.
Tang Zhou was an orphan, taken in and raised by his master in the Ling Xiao Sect. Their bond was more like father and son than master and disciple. But one day, tragedy struck. His master and his entire family were brutally murdered by a demon. This devastating event changed Tang Zhou completely. He knelt before his master's memorial tablet and made a solemn vow to dedicate his life to eradicating every single demon in the world. Hearing this, Yandan finally understands the deep-seated root of Tang Zhou's intense prejudice against demons. The senior disciple then drops another interesting piece of information. While regular disciples of the Ling Xiao Sect are free to marry, the sect leader must sever all worldly attachments, including love.
This little detail adds a whole new layer of potential angst for our hero.
Just then, Tang Zhou comes looking for Yandan in the kitchen. He finds her laughing and chatting happily with the senior disciple and, feeling a bit left out, lets out a loud pointed cough to make his presence known.
Annoyed by his interruption, Yandan snaps at him, calling him cold and heartless.
Trying to win Yandan's favor, the senior disciple thoughtfully catches a fish and prepares it for her. However, the sight of the fish instantly reminds Yandan of her dear friend Jumo, whose true form is a fish. She immediately says she doesn't eat fish anymore. Tang Zhou, ever suspicious, thinks she's just making up excuses to find a way to escape and gives her a stern warning. Undeterred, the senior disciple returns, supposedly to talk to Tang Zhou. He notices the fish dish is untouched and, assuming Yandan just doesn't like fish, offers to take her to the river to catch crabs instead. Yandan's eyes light up at the idea, but Tang Zhou immediately shuts it down. He assigns her a pile of cultivation tasks, claiming it's to help temper her restless character. Yandan is furious and protests loudly. The senior disciple kindly offers to cultivate with her, but Tang Zhou is adamant. No one is to disturb her.
She must focus on her studies.
Defeated, the senior disciple has no choice but to leave. Suddenly, the sky opens up. Thunder booms and rain pours down.
Yandan remembers she left the ancient books drying outside and rushes out to save them. But it's too late.
They're already soaked. In a panic, she's about to use her demonic powers to dry them. Tang Zhou, seeing the senior disciple nearby, realizes the danger. If he sees her magic, her identity as a flower demon will be exposed. He quickly grabs her hand, stopping her just in time. Yandan snaps back to her senses, realizing how close she came to revealing her secret. Thinking fast, she uses the situation to her advantage. She politely turns down the senior disciple's invitation to catch crabs, saying she needs to help Tang Zhou organize the rain-soaked books. The senior disciple leaves, looking a little disappointed. Before he goes, he gives Tang Zhou a meaningful look and advises him not to get distracted by matters of the heart. Tang Zhou, exasperated, has to explain, yet again, that he and Yandan are just siblings, with a series of close calls and misunderstandings. Tang Zhou's jealousy is becoming more and more obvious, isn't it? In ghost stories, Yandan thinks their tales are pretty lame. So, Tang Zhou
challenges her to tell a better one.
She has everyone close their eyes and spins a terrifying yarn about a snake demon. But Tang Zhou, having read all the books, already knows the ending and ruins her big scare. Unimpressed, Yandan tells him to try. He starts a story about a woman and her dead husband. Halfway through, he leans in and whispers that the dead husband is creeping up right behind her, asking for his head back. Yandan, terrified, spins around and accidentally kisses Tang Zhou. Flustered and betrayed, she curses him out and runs away. Meanwhile, Yumo and Zilin are frantically searching for Yandan. They discover 3 demand-trapping formations and track down 2 of the demon hunters involved, but find no trace of her. Only one place remains: the Ling Xiao Sect. Yumo is convinced she's there. Just as they're about to head over,
The demons from Yellen Mountain arrive with bad news. The wolf demon, Dan Shu, has been captured.
Yumo sends Zilin and the others back to the mountain for safety, while he goes to the Ling Xiao Sect alone to rescue both Yandan and Dan Shu. He first sneaks into the Demon Subduing Hall, where the sect keeps its captured minor demons, hoping to find Yandan. But before he can even start looking, Ao Xuan arrives with his celestial soldiers, surrounding him completely. Ao Xuan holds up one of Yumo's own scales, a chilling threat, and vows to see him dead. Distracted for just a second, Yumo is struck by the soul-shattering hook, a powerful weapon from the Dragon King. Though badly injured, Yumo summons his strength, fights back fiercely. and manages to break through the encirclement and escape. Ao Xuan was absolutely furious. He knew Yu Mo couldn't have gotten far. He barked orders at his men. Spread out. Search every bush, every shadow. I want him found. Yu Mo, meanwhile, was bleeding heavily, hidden in a dense thicket, barely daring to breathe. The search went on for what felt like an eternity, but they found nothing. Ao Xuan started getting antsy. The longer they stayed, the higher the chance of running into disciples from the Ling Xiao Sect. Gritting his teeth in frustration, he finally called off the search and led his men away. Just moments after they disappeared, a figure emerged from the trees. It was Chaolan. She rushed to Yumo's side, her face pale with worry, and carefully helped him to his feet. Back in the east, Sea Dragon Palace, the Dragon King was pacing. Even though Ao Xuan had wiped away their tracks, the Dragon King was paranoid. The demon hunters of the Ling Xiao Sect are not to be underestimated, he warned his son. If they find out we were there, it will be disastrous. You need to be more than just brave. Ao Xuan, you need to be smart. Ao Xuan, still fuming from his failure, slammed his fist on the table. I swear, Father, I will capture Yu Mo within half a month. But the Dragon King shook his head. Half a month is too long. The wedding cannot be delayed. Find him, kill him, and do it quickly and quietly. No more mistakes. Meanwhile, back at the Ling Xiao Sect, my life had taken a strange turn. Tang Zhou suddenly had a craving for walnut porridge. And guess who had to shell an entire basket of walnuts? Me, Yandan. As if that wasn't enough, he cast some kind of spell in the room, trapping me inside. I was going crazy, complaining to anyone who would listen, which happened to be my senior disciple when he came to visit. I poured out all my frustrations about Tang Zhou's ridiculous demands. He listened patiently, and then, completely out of the blue, he proposed. He actually asked me to marry him. I was so flustered. I mumbled something about needing to check our horoscopes first. You know, to see if we're compatible. It was the first excuse I could think of. Then, I saw my chance. Senior disciple, I said with my most pitiful expression. Since we're practically engaged now, could you maybe help me undo this spell in the room? He did. The moment I was free, I bolted straight for the Demon Subduing Hall. My heart pounded as I went inside, and my eyes immediately found her, my friend, Dan Shu, trapped in a cage. The moment she saw me,
Her eyes widened in panic. Yandan, what are you doing here? Get out.
This place is a death trap, she hissed. Yu Mo is looking for you everywhere. You can't be here. The tiger demon in the cage next to hers chimed in, complaining about the terrible conditions. Hearing their stories, seeing my friend locked up like an animal, made my blood boil. I'm getting you out of here, I declared, ignoring Dan Shu's desperate warnings. I started messing with the lock, but my clumsy attempt triggered a hidden mechanism. Suddenly, the air was filled with the whistle of arrows flying from every direction. I screamed, ducking and weaving, trying desperately not to get skewered. Just when I thought I was done for, a figure flashed in front of me. It was Tang Zhou. He moved with impossible grace, deflecting every single arrow. When the last one clattered to the floor, I was left standing there, trembling and covered in a cold sweat. Are you insane?
I yelled at him, my fear turning to anger.
What is wrong with you, demon hunters? You can't even tell the difference between good demons and bad ones. Before he could reply, my senior disciple showed up, holding a piece of paper. Yandan, I came to get your birth details for the horoscope reading. Tang Zhou immediately stepped between us. She is not marrying you. My senior disciple was furious. This is none of your business, he snapped. Tang Zhou's gaze was cold as ice. Your business, he said slowly, should be to thoroughly investigate what's happening in your own Demon Subduing Hall. Stop letting a woman cloud your judgment. My senior disciple stormed off, humiliated and angry. Tang Zhou then turned to me, a glint in his eye. He took out the Step-Distance Bracelet and reset it. 10 steps, he said flatly. From now on, you are not allowed to be more than 10 steps away from me. I couldn't believe it. I was his prisoner. Again. My senior disciple, meanwhile, was fuming. As he paced back and forth, stewing in his anger, he remembered something. Tang Zhou's gourd. He'd seen it before, and he remembered seeing a small demon being subdued and put inside. A demon that Temsho never reported. An idea, a terrible, vengeful idea, began to form in his mind. A few days later, it was the sect leader's birthday. All the disciples were gathered in the main hall. The atmosphere was festive until the sect leader stood up to make an announcement. He praised Temsho's skill and dedication, and then he publicly declared Temsho as his successor. The inauguration ceremony was to be held in just 3 days. The hall erupted in applause, but my senior disciple saw his moment. He stepped forward, his voice ringing with accusation. Sect Leader, I have something to report. Tanks. Zhou has violated our laws. He captured a demon, and, instead of turning it in, he secretly released it. A stunned silence fell over the hall. All eyes turned to Temps Zhou. The sect leader's face hardened. Temps Zhou, is this true? Where is the demon now? He pointed a finger at him. Tell me, or you can forget about becoming the next sect leader. Temps Zhou's expression didn't change. He stood tall and simply said, I cannot answer.
The sect leader was enraged.
He ordered Temps Zhou to be taken to solitary confinement and punished with a severe beating. As they dragged him away, I couldn't just stand there. I ran forward, pleading, Sect Leader, please. There must be a misunderstanding. But Temps Zhou just looked at me, his face unreadable. With a flick of his wrist, he undid the Step-Distance Bracelet, freeing me. Go, he said, his voice rough. Stay away from me. And he let them lead him away. Later that night, as Tang Zhou sat alone in his cell, bruised and battered, a faint light shimmered in the air. It was looming, the spirit of his own sword, taking human form. Tang Zhou looked up, surprised. He learned from Lu Ming that they had known each other long ago, in the celestial realm. Taking the opportunity, Temsho asked the question that had been haunting him for so long. There's a woman in my dreams, he began. She keeps ... asking for half of my heart. Who is she? Lu Ming looked away, suddenly very interested in the stone walls. He deflected the question with a bunch of vague excuses and nonsense. You know, Lu Ming said, changing the subject abruptly, your Immortal Robe is quite damaged. You should really get that fixed soon. It's very important. And with that, he floated away, leaving Tang Zhou alone with more questions than answers. Thank you for watching this recap. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. See you next time!